Personal development when you're a business person is absolutely not the same thing than it is for most people. And if you're in business and you're using regular personal development courses to become more fulfilled in your life, you're almost definitely killing your results. Now, when I very first started in business, I read a ton of personal development books, and I also went to a bunch of personal development seminars. In fact, I remember one seminar that I literally had to take 3 credit cards and put them together to afford the ticket. Not really because it was that expensive of a ticket. I think it was probably $1,500 or $1,900, but because I just wasn't at that stage of my life yet where I figured out how to make money yet. And I'm really glad that I graduated out of that phase of my life. But every stage of business, whether you're just starting out or you're the founder and CEO of a 1, 10, 20, 50, $100 million a year company, whatever level you're at, personal development for business people at any level comes down to this. We need to discover what personally drives us in life. Let everybody else focus on manifesting and thinking positive thoughts all day and picking the weeds out of their garden, all of which are great to make you feel good. But the most important focus you can have if your goal is to grow business and personal wealth is to know what drives you this year or this quarter or this week. Deep down, what's the number one thing that you would stay up late for, go to war for, bleed for, sweat for, whatever it is? What's the one thing you would do anything for? That's the foundation that drives all the top founders and CEOs ever in history. And I didn't understand that for many years when I first started in business. And I worked only to make money because I thought money had to be the main target, which is pretty common because when you don't have a lot of money, that's all you want. And because of that, I spent the first decade of my business life struggling to make ends meet. I mean, I literally lived on credit cards, meaning I paid my credit cards with a balance from other credit cards. And then I tried like hell to run promotions inside of my business that would generate enough money for me to pay off at least some of my credit card debt. And of course, during that time, especially towards the end of it, I had some small wins. And your success in anything in life, whether it's life or business, is built on small wins, turning into larger wins that turn into even larger wins, and then eventually turning into reaching your friggin' targets. And after a little bit of success, I learned that no matter how good a personal development book or seminar is, figuring out what personally drives us is the most important thing for us to know. And it's different for each one of us, and it changes depending on what stage of life that we're at. In my life, now that I kind of look back on it, one of my true drivers has always been surprising the people I care about. I mean, it started with my very first job, which was being a caddy at a country club. I didn't tell my parents that I had that job until after I had been doing it for a little while, and I saved some money because I wanted to surprise them that I went out, I got my job, and I started making money. And then fast forward several years, I got into the health club industry, which eventually turned into a chain of clubs. But I didn't tell my parents about that until after I had built up my first club. It was running really good. It looked wonderful. And then I invited them in so I could surprise them and show them how cool of a business I had built. And then years later, when I wrote my very first book, I didn't tell anybody I was writing it. And then after it was fully written and after a box of books was delivered to my house, that's when I told my family that I had written something. Not during the writing process, not when I was thinking about that book, because that would have added pressure to me, right? Instead of adding excitement of doing this big unveil that I wanted to do. Every business that I've ever built, every major accomplishment in my life was driven by my desire to surprise people in a good way, to amaze them, to shock them, right? And that drive helped me to build a portfolio of 12 successful companies of my own and Club 28, which is where I get to help a small handful of other companies to scale well into the 8-figure mark too. And I can firmly tell you that every successful founder or CEO or leader understands personal development, but they understand it and they live it differently than most people do. They spend more time defining what personally drives them right now in this stage of their life, and they use that drive to drive them in business. And those people achieve more and they are happier and they're more fulfilled because their business is growing, and that business growth equates to more growth in their personal lives too. Let me give you some examples of what drives other top entrepreneurs. Their children, their love of growing businesses, their desire to surprise those in their lives, their desire to build personal net worth so that their family never really has to worry about money, or their desire to grow a company that helps the world. I mean, there's a ton of different things that drive us as entrepreneurs. But when you find the one that currently motivates you to keep moving forward, even during tough times, even when it doesn't look like you're going to reach that astronomically high target that you set, when you find your drive, you'll win more and you'll have a lot more fun in both business and in life. Tell me in the comments one thing that drives you, because I promise you this, the act of sharing what drives you is going to solidify it in your head. It's probably also going to inspire a lot of people. And definitely subscribe and give this show a thumbs up. It really helps us grow, and it puts you at the head of the line in order to get the next episode the minute that we drop it.